I just returned from a 2-week fly fishing trip to New Zealand, my second dedicated fly fishing trip to New Zealand, and I'm just going to film a list of the kit that I took because I felt like I was very well prepared, and hopefully someone will find this to be useful. So in my first packing cube, I've got 4 pairs of underwear and 4 t-shirts. In the second packing cube, I've got a merino base layer, Helly Hansen merino base layer, that I did use on one of the days when it was particularly cold. On the plane, I wore a regular t-shirt, so another pair of undies, and then, what are probably the most expensive set of tracky pants you can get, the Squala tracky pants. In another packing cube, I had 3 Sims tops of different colors, and then in another packing cube I had 3 pairs of Squala pants with an Arc'teryx belt, and because I'm colorblind, I had my wife help me pair up the color scheme. So you can see this is set number 1, which was proved to be the most potent fishing set. Set number 2, which was actually the next most potent, and set number 3, all color coded, and I got skunked in one day in each of those 3 sets. I also took a pair of backcountry skins just to try them out, and they're fantastic as long as the sun is not shining. The minute the sun shines, your balls sweat. And over those backcountry skins, I wore these pants, and I also had these shorts as a spare pair. And crucially, I did remember this year to take a set of Crocs, so that you've got something to wear at the end of the day to let your feet dry out. On the plane, I actually traveled in these Patagonia wading boots. They're a relatively new set of offering from Patagonia, and I actually put in insoles into them, and I fished most of the days in these lightweight boots. These are almost like a hiking style boot, and they were absolutely fantastic. They're definitely the way to go, and they seem to have worn quite well. I've got a few little gaps over here and little seams pulling apart over here, but nothing I can't repair with some Aquaseal. In another little packing cube, I took sort of a pair of medium weight socks, 2 heavyweight socks. These are what I wore on most of the days. I just alternated between the 2 pairs of heavyweight socks, and then some lightweight socks for wearing when I was back at the motel to keep the sandflies off my feet. And I also took a spare set of wading boots, which were this pair of Sims boots, and actually I did go with the boa again. It's a relatively new boa, and these were fine, and because I had the backup set, I wasn't too worried about the boa failing. And I've got to say, I preferred the lightweight boots. And then I took these neoprene wading booties. So for this trip, I carried everything in this Joburg to Sea luggage bag. Joburg to Sea being my proudest sporting achievement, and I've got an air tag, had an air tag in it. In this packing cube, I then took 3 sets of buffs and sun gloves. So there's the first set, which is Patagonia, which is my sort of preferred set, and then the original ones I took last year, and then the ones that my fishing buddy Michael had last year, and I was very jealous of the fact that he had these cool camo gloves and buff. I then took 2 sets of warm gloves. I didn't use those. I took a head, whatever it is, to warm my head. I didn't use that at all. In terms of jackets, I took a waterproof jacket, a Sims Pro waterproof jacket, and that was absolutely superb. I fished 2 days in the pouring rain the whole day, and that jacket was great. And it's a proper wading jacket. It's very, very nice. And then I took this Sims sort of warm jacket, I suppose, but breathable, in camo. I fished in that, and I enjoyed that. And then just for back at the camp, I had my good old Rab. I don't travel anywhere without the Rab down jacket. This beautiful Untamed Flies and Tackle cap from Darren Asquith at Untamed Flies and Tackles from Squish. And then I took this gilet by Icebreaker. And I think I was pretty well sorted out for this particular trip. I think I nailed it. So as opposed to the last trip where I wore waders down in Lumsden every day and wet waded once, no, actually I wet waded twice. On this trip I only wore waders. I wore waders twice and I wet waded all the other days. I took my Patagonia waders, the Sims waders where the boots leaked. They've been repaired for $350, and the Squalor waders that also leaked in the booties, they are still away in the US being repaired, hopefully under warranty. As before, no need to go through the contents of my toiletry bag. So just to call out a few items that were important from the last trip, and then one extra item that I added in that I needed for this trip. Rennies, antihistamines, this is Claritine, Voltaren. This time I took 3 Voltarens because I fished, I don't know, like 14 days out of 15 or something. Ear wax or whatever it is, ear things to, you know, if people are snoring or making noises. I didn't actually use them. Nail clippers, some tweezers, some hand cream to rub onto your feet and your hands, because obviously your feet are spending a lot of time in the water. Your hands get, you need some moisturizing. And then the eye drops. I didn't use them this time, but last time I sort of was starting to get an eye infection, and these eye drops just saved me. And this time we had sandflies. We only really had sandflies on one of the days last year in New Zealand, but this time we had sandflies on almost all of the days. And I tried the Savlon and the Suve, and really the Savlon is the one to go for. And actually I ended up keeping an open tub of Savlon next to my bed at night, so if I woke up itching and scratching, I could put the Savlon on and then get back to sleep. And even now I can see I've still got a bit of like an open wound there on that hand, and this hand there I've still got like a bit of a welt. This hand really got affected by the sandflies. So for this trip I ditched the Thunderhead hip pack that I used last year in New Zealand, and I've gone for a Hyperlight Mountain Gear Aero 28 running pack. And on that I had an Orvis retractor attached to my net with a fish pond magnet, which funny enough I see is just broken off, because normally I have it on a cable tie, and it lasted for the full 2 weeks and then seems to have come off. And then I took a wading staff, which I absolutely did need, and I used it many more times on this trip than I did on the previous trip. And my Orvis cap, a crazily expensive Orvis cap. I think I paid $60 for this, or $70, crazy. With my magnifying glasses, my Orvis magnifying glasses. This hat was great actually. I think it might be waterproof. So because I did fish in the rain on a couple of days, and I didn't find that I got as wet as I normally do with the normal caps that I wear. Very happy with that cap. It's my reel bag, same reel bag as last year, and needless to say it had an air tag on it, and it came out of regular luggage this time, not out of oversized luggage. In terms of the rods I fished on a few days my 5-weight Asquith, and most of the days my 6-weight Asquith. In terms of the 5-weight Asquith, I took a new reel, which is a Ross Evolution R, and this has an SA Infinity textured line on it, weight forward 5 floating, and then my Hatch reel, Hatch 4 Plus reel in Dragon Red with the Rio Gold, and I far preferred the Rio Gold. So no change there. On the 6-weight Asquith, I took this absolutely stunning Able SDF reel, custom-made SDF reel in matte black with a purple drag knob, also with an SA Infinity textured line, and my hatch reel, also a 4+, and this originally had a Rio Gold on it, and again I preferred the Asquith with the Rio Gold, and then I damaged the Rio Gold dragging it around a rock, and Lachlan was looking for a Rio Gold, so I took that line off, and actually I had a spare 6-weight line with me, which is an SA creek line, a smooth creek line, and I really enjoyed that, although I did feel it's one line weight heavy, and I did feel it overpowered the rod. So I'm very curious to try the SA creek smooth line, but in a weight forward 5 configuration on the 6-weight Asquith. In terms of leaders, I had Rio 12-foot 3X, I had 12-foot 4X, 15-foot 3X, 15-foot 4X, but actually the leader that I fished almost exclusively was the Trout Hunter 12-foot 3X, not 4X, 3X Evo Drift. I had 6 of the 3X Evo Drifts, and I've run out of them. I've used all of them, so all I've got is a few of the 4X ones. But that's what I really enjoyed. So 12-foot to 3X, and then with the triple surgeons, I'd town 4 or 5 feet of 4X Trout Hunter, and then that's where my dry would be, and then down below that 4.5X to the dropper. So in terms of the HMG Aero 28 running pack, the setup that I've gone with is up at the top on this little orange tag, I've got my Orvis retractor attached to my McLean's weigh net, and then on this little Hyperlite mountain gear tab, I put my hatch nippers on an Orvis retractor, one that my friend Rudy suggested that I really enjoy. Now this particular pocket here it's a long pocket, and it's meant to take a flexible water bottle, a running water bottle. So what I like to do is in this beer koozie that I've been sent from Brett and Cherie at BWC Flyers, what I've done is I've actually put a battery pack, 10,000 milliamp hour battery pack in that, and I just stuff that down to the bottom of that pocket, and then what that allows is for my Weber temperature check device and my New Zealand strike indicator pack, it allows those to sit up above, and it makes them sort of easily available and easily accessible. So that's sort of on my right hand shoulder. I've also got a little mag pad here, and then in this front flexible pocket I've got my my fly box, and what I've done here is I went to Officeworks and I found some double-sided sort of Velcro tape, and I've got my nymph box on the one side and my dry flies that I regularly use, my smaller ones, on the other side, and I've attached those with a lanyard, and they just slip perfectly into that pocket on that side. In the outside pocket I've got a water bottle, a Grail water bottle that my good friend Steve Peachy recommended. This is absolutely fantastic. I drank from this every single day, and that just fits perfectly in that pocket. And the clever thing with the Grail is they've got this rubberized bottom, and I think that helps it to stick a little bit better in the side pocket. Very clever design. Over here I've got my little New Zealand trash stash that I used extensively. Okay, so now onto the left-hand shoulder. So again, to fill out the pocket, what I've got is I've got my 3 DJI Osmo Action 5 batteries. I've got 3 spare batteries, and they're in another one of Brett and Cherie's koozies, and that fills up the bottom. And then in the top of it, I'm actually able to fit in my iPhone, and because this is so important to me, I can use this Velcro over here to tighten up the iPhone so there isn't any chance of it falling out. because I was working remote this week, I need to be able to get my Microsoft Authenticator and Google Authenticator codes to get into Deloitte, my Deloitte email and whatever. So that's very important for me. Down at the bottom here, I've got a bigger dry fly box, and again, that's attached on a lanyard. Trout Hunter tippet, and I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, and 5. And if I did this again, the 1 and the 2, I would put the 1 and the 2 in my backpack, and I would have a 4, maybe a 3 and a 4, or a 4 and a 4.5. I would have that in nylon, because Ashley is absolutely adamant that you should just have nylon going to your dry fly. So that will be something new for me to try next time. And then fluorocarbon down below the dry fly if you're fishing dry dropper. This is these little beautiful little French sort of attachments that I've got for the Easy Dry Shake, which, interestingly enough, this is the one that Ashley uses and prefers. So I think that's the one that goes blue. The tablets go blue if you've used them, and they make a nice shaking sound. And then a quell. In terms of the side pockets on my left-hand side, I'm able to have my Sims wading staff, which is sort of closer to the front, so I can reach it without taking the backpack off. And then I've got this Manfrotto tripod with a DJI Action extension pole, and this is pretty cool, this, because I can extend the legs out, which allows this to freestand, and then I can have the DJI Action 5 at quite a height to be able to do time lapses or anything like that. In the backpack itself, at the bottom of the backpack, I had my Orvis Pro jacket, and then above it, I had this little fish pond sort of mid-sized pack, and in that I kept a torch, which I didn't use, a couple of cable ties, spare little stretchy, I had a cigarette lighter, I don't smoke, but just to do fires, some spare quell, some Hendry Sinket, I had a Orvis measuring tape, which I didn't use. I had some CITA material, 4X and 2X and 0X. I didn't use that. And then I took some Oros indicators, didn't use that. Some loon dust, I didn't use it. Snake mud, paillette paste, and BB shot, I didn't use that. I did use... no, actually I didn't. I didn't use tippet rings. I didn't use the micro swivels. I actually didn't use anything in that pack. And then in my backpack, I carried, at all times, some spare Trout Hunter tippet. So I carried spare 3X. I carried spare 4.5X and spare 4X. And then a bunch of different leaders. Mainly, I just used the 3X leaders. I then carried my New Zealand license, and I carried some spare memory cards, and some Nurofen, and some antihistamines, and some eye drops. And just in terms of if you're fishing and you need to buy a designated water pass, I would highly recommend that the minute you take that pass, you buy the pass, you take a photograph of it, and make sure you've got a photograph on your phone, because you're not going to get cell phone reception out there. Then in the back of the backpack, I took this little DJI Neo drone, which I absolutely love doing. So I used that for doing circular shots and helix shots of where I was fishing. And I took this GPS Map 67i as my Garmin just to test this out. I've now got 2 inReach devices because now that my sons are getting more and more into fishing, I want them to have their own inReach device if they're fishing apart from me. So I've got the 2. I forgot to mention that I've also got some loon sort of tweezers, pliers. And these are the ones that I've settled on. These are the ones that I prefer, and I notice they're the same ones that Ashley uses. So they've got a nice fine point for crimping barbs, although in New Zealand I fished almost all the time with barbs on. And then they've also got scissors here for trimming the sort of the head of the New Zealand strike indicators. So these are my preferred ones. So in terms of the electronics that I took, that's an example of the tripod, and it extends up a lot higher than that. And you can see how the feet have come out. So that means you can stand it on a bank if you want to do a selfie shot of you with your big fish. I didn't use it for that at all. I just used it for time lapses. There's a DJI Action 5 Pro. And actually it's got a clear lens on at the moment, so the standard DJI lens. But most of the shooting, so for the shooting for all days other than the last 3, I actually used this Freewell, I think it's a Freewell polarized filter. All the talking head shots are on the Osmo Pocket 3, same one I had last year. And in terms of battery packs, last time I had the Action 4, and I had to take the 1 battery inside it, plus, maybe 6 spare batteries. And this time, I just had the 1 battery inside it, plus 3, and that was able to last me for the whole day. And I fished up to 8 hours. So I'm recording all the time in the 30-second playback mode, pre-record mode. Recorded all my fishing on my Garmin Fenix 8 watch. That's a recharging cable, spare recharging cable over here. And then because I was working remote, I've got my 2 ThinkVision remote monitors with their USB cables. And then I always take a mouse pad because you're never really sure what the surface is going to be like where you're working on. So there's a mouse pad and a mouse, my to-do list, pen and a highlighter, my Deloitte laptop, and then for the car, I remembered to take this very, very useful device for the car, so I can have my iPhone readily accessible, and this cable, which came in very, very useful, which is USB to USB-C, so it can connect my phone into the car that I hired, which was an ASX by Mitsubishi. I also had my iPad Pro. As mentioned earlier, I took my iPad Pro, I took a pair of AirPod Pros for work, and a pair of Denon Pearl headphones, for all other times, and as a backup. I've used this pouch for travel for many, many years. Obviously, I took my passport. And then, in terms of the things that I forgot last time that I, thank God, remembered this time, the first is a physical credit card, because you're not getting that hire car without a physical credit card. A driver's license. Some of them will take the digital license on your phone, some car companies, but you're safer having your proper license. And then for all expenditure, I paid on a Wise card. And then I took my Smith Creek rod holder that I strung up in the back seat, so I could hold my rod, keep my rod against the ceiling for travel purposes. That's it.